Welcome. I'm your host, Bruce Ray Wilson. AI is bringing massive changes to software development. Today, we will be discussing using AI to generate C++ unit tests using AutoGen Studio 2.0. In 1998, Kent Beck created the XUnit framework for testing software. Eventually, CPP Unit was created from the framework. And then ultimately that became Google Test, also known as GTest. Let's give this a whirl. I'm just going to paste in my prompt, hit the enter key, and then I'm going to let this work for a while and I will come back when it's completed. Okay, it is finished starting the process. So what we have here is a task ID, which we will be able to check on in a bit. It's going to take a couple of minutes to process each method, depending on the load of GPT 1106 preview. Hey, and it worked. Yes, I am surprised. I've encountered some difficulties getting this to work, but it has worked on my last 3 attempts. So buried in here is the contents of the .h file. These are Python strings, that's why they look odd. I could process them and make it look all nice, but so here, right here, it says H content, and then down in here somewhere, there it is, it says CPP content. And those are Python strings. Once you save them to a file, they look perfectly fine. You may replicate this by first installing AutoGen Studio 2.0. You may choose which development environment that you would like to use. You can use a Python virtual environment, or you may use a Conda environment. Follow the instructions until AutoGen Studio is launched. I followed the Conda environment directions. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you're an experienced developer. Here are the instructions to install AutoGen Studio 2.0. Now notice that the pip install Docker is not actually required if you're using a Conda environment. The last line indicates how to launch AutoGen Studio 2.0. So I'm using port 8081, and I've also listed the application directory. Now, if you notice, the application directory path contains the GitHub repo that I'm using. So it's github.com, Bruce Ray Wilson, PyTest, test, one. So free to download that. Files may also be posted to my website, GTest.ai. In this example, we'll use curl to post the files. On GitHub, I have an accounting repo that you may clone. In the repo is a UUT subdirectory, so that stands for unit under test. In that subdirectory, there will be .h and .cpp files. Here I'm just using the shortened version of the files. The full files are accounting.h and accounting.cpp. Here I'm just using the short version of them. This is how you do a post to process your files to generate unit tests. It takes a couple of minutes to generate a unit test per method. Once you post your files to my website, you'll be given a task ID. You will be able to use this task ID to check the status. When your unit tests have been completed, check status will return the contents of the files. Another way you may generate unit tests is by going to my website. My website is GTest.ai. You will come to this screen here. It's very simple. You can choose your .h file and your .cpp file and then hit the submit button. Again, it'll take 2 or 3 minutes to process each unit test depending on the load on GPT-4. Here are the results from submitting the long versions of the .h and the .cpp files. The code generated is for parallelized unit testing. So here is a struct that you use to pass to the test_p macro. And then down below you have a handy method for printing out information. Let's continue scrolling down to the .cpp file output. So here it is. We've generated unit tests for a number of the methods. This isn't fully complete, but I'm working on it. So there was a total of 10 unit tests that were generated. My website and my work will be user driven. There are multiple C++ frameworks out there for unit testing, including GTest. That is what I have implemented. There's also Boost Test and Catch 2. Languages that I'm interested in testing are C++, Python, and Go. Please let me know in the comments below what you would be interested in seeing. And there you have it. Remember, the mind once stretched by a new idea never returns to its original dimensions. Bye bye.